Hello, friends! Sometimes even the most sincere and easygoing people have secrets that they cannot share with anybody, even their spouses. It was a bright, sunny morning in Saint-Tropez. Ruslan liked walking along the beach, and this day he went with his young wife, Maria, for the first time. She basked under the clear sky of France, admired the endless blue sea, and smiled because until recently she couldn't even dream of such an experience. Maria could hardly believe that all of this was happening to her, getting to marry the man she loved, starting their happy life together, and now she had everything she ever wanted. She had grown up in an ordinary family. At school, she tried very hard and dreamed of going to university. Her dream came true. Maria studied diligently and lived only on a small scholarship and modest sums of money from her parents, but the money was not enough. To make ends meet, Maria found a part-time job as a waitress in a restaurant. Once at a party, she saw Ruslan. The first time they met, it was like in a movie. The waitress awkwardly dropped a tray of drinks on the good-looking guy. And then a real fairy tale began. The lovely stranger fell in love with the cute girl, and the long-awaited moment happened. Ruslan, kneeling down, proposed to the girl to become his wife. Of course, she said yes. The young couple had a gorgeous wedding. The bride and groom were incredibly beautiful and happy. For their honeymoon, the newlyweds went to France. It was an amazing time. Maria couldn't believe how happy she was. Almost everything was perfect, except one thing. She recalled the very first day she entered the spacious apartment of her future husband. It was located in an old high-rise building with high ceilings. Previously, it was a communal apartment, but now Ruslan was the owner of the entire estate. He made chic renovations in his apartment, furnished it with modern furniture, and now it was a fashionable designer home that did not even remotely resemble what it once was. But here's what was interesting. Ruslan, a wealthy man, could have afforded a luxury apartment in the most expensive area of the city, but for some reason he didn't move. He explained to Maria that he considered this apartment his only home. He seemed to her just perfect, intelligent, well-mannered, cheerful, understanding, and courteous. She began to idolize him, thinking that she had met an ideal man who was just perfect. Then, on her first visit to his apartment, Ruslan took Maria on a tour of his spacious home. In the hall, the girl noticed a strange door. It was very old and did not fit in with the luxurious interior of the fashionable space. Painted in a very dark, shabby blue, it seemed out of place here. Maria was so curious that she decided to ask him what this mysterious door was. And then something strange happened. Her affectionate and gentle Ruslan darkened. He clenched his teeth and snapped in an icy tone, "Never open this door. You will live here, but do not even think about approaching this door. Only I can enter it." Maria was very scared by such a sharp change in her beloved. She had never seen such a stern face on Ruslan. "Okay," the girl replied, and they moved on. Time passed. The young couple got married and enjoyed their life together, but from time to time, Maria was anxious about the thought of that strange door. What could be in there? Why does he not even let me talk about it? The girl was perplexed. As soon as she tried to get at least some information about it from her husband, he was adamant, would immediately end the conversation and fall silent. One evening, when it was late, Maria could not sleep. She tossed and turned. Thoughts overwhelmed her. After finally falling asleep for a short while, she was awakened by a voice. The girl was even more frightened when she saw that her husband was not next to her. Maria got up and decided to look for him to ask why he wasn't in bed. Having gone through all the rooms and hallways, she couldn't find him. After staying in the kitchen for a while, she heard something like a quiet cry coming from somewhere in the distance. Suddenly, the girl saw a strip of light under the forbidden door. Maria was numb. She realized that her husband was in the secret room and for some reason he was crying. She listened with bated breath. Ruslan began to whisper something quietly. Then he laughed. Maria shuddered in surprise. Her heart was beating wildly as she thought something terrible was happening behind the door, but she did not dare to come closer and return to the bedroom. Morning came. Her husband was affectionate and gentle with her as always. Tomorrow they would leave for Saint-Tropez. And now the girl was sitting on the warm sand and recalled that mysterious event. She could not stop thinking about it and was worried about what her husband did at night in the room he forbade her to enter. Then Maria made a firm decision. When she arrived home, she would definitely find the key to the strange door and find out everything that was hidden behind it. The trip passed by quickly and the couple returned home. Maria decided to carry out her plan. She managed to find where Ruslan hid the key. After waiting for her husband to leave, the girl with shaking hands firmly walked to the old door. She inserted the key, turned it a couple of times, and the door opened easily. The girl was trembling from fear. She was shocked as she stood on the threshold of the strange old room. "Is anybody here?" she asked timidly. No one answered. Fearing that Ruslan would find her intruding on his personal territory, Maria slowly went inside. It smelled musty, and there were faded curtains on the window. The girl decided to open the curtains, and there was so much dust from them that Maria found it hard to breathe. After regaining her composure, the girl continued to examine the room. It was shabby, gloomy, and looked very dull. There was almost nothing here. In the corner, there was an ancient box spring bed, an antique wardrobe, and next to that, there was a battered table and chair. There was also a radio and a wooden bookshelf. All the books stood straight on it. They were sorted by exact size. It appeared that someone had just recently slept on the bed, and under it there were old tattered slippers which looked like they should be thrown away. On the table there were scattered, faded newspapers, some kind of hooks and spinners for fishing, and on the top there were dark-rimmed glasses. Maria picked up a newspaper. She saw the date, November 1975. Amazing! Time in this room seemed to have stopped 45 years ago. Maria looked around the room with surprise and bewilderment. Why was it so strange in here? Why did Ruslan come in here, and who did he talk to? What could bring a grown man to tears? Looking around again, she turned her attention to an old black and white photograph. It was a picture of a man holding a fishing rod in his hands, and a child was standing near him. Who are these people? Maria wondered. Suddenly, she heard the sound of the door opening. The girl was horrified. She realized that Ruslan was home. Maria grabbed the key, jumped out of the door, and frantically began to lock it, but the girl's hands would not obey. Meanwhile, she heard her husband's footsteps approaching. "What is going on here?" Ruslan's angry voice rang out. Maria was so scared that she could not tell a lie, and she told her husband everything. "I cannot live like this, seeing that you are hiding something very important from me," she shouted. "I heard you crying in there, but I don't understand why." "I asked you not to do this," Ruslan shouted angrily. He ran out of the house in a rage and slammed the door so hard that plaster fell from the ceiling and the vase that stood in the hallway broke into small pieces. Maria cried and tried calling her husband, but he never answered. Night came. Ruslan didn't return. His wife was alone and she did not know what to do. She didn't close her eyes for even a minute, but her husband didn't come home. Suddenly, in the morning, Maria heard the sound of the front door. Ruslan entered, then silently looked out the window. She quietly approached from behind and stood in tears, not knowing how to start a conversation. The silence lasted for a very long time. Maria's heart was pounding. Finally, he started speaking. He said that this modern, spacious apartment was a communal apartment in the 1970s. Ruslan's parents lived in the room with the blue door. His mother died immediately after giving birth, so he was raised by his father. They were not rich. They only had enough money for the most necessary things, but the boy was deeply attached to his father and trusted him with everything. He was the only person close to Ruslan. He always supported his son, read him books, and took him fishing. His father was sure that his son would achieve great success in life and always talked to him about it. The boy managed to believe in himself and fulfill his father's hopes. When his father passed away, Ruslan lost his closest confidant. Then he decided that he would buy out all the rooms in the communal apartment and live in it, and he would leave the little room from his childhood in the same form as it was many years ago. And when Ruslan entered this room, he returned for a moment to his childhood, where his beloved father was still young and cheerful. Maria could not utter a word. She stood in shock and wiped away her tears, and then she gently hugged her beloved husband. Complete trust, along with respect for the values of your loved one, is so important in relationships and true love. What do you think of this story? Why did Ruslan not tell Maria about the forbidden room? Should she have entered there without permission? Share the story with your friends, write your opinion in the comments section, and subscribe to our channel.